absolutely honored to be joined of the Kansas City Current, the one and only Lo'Eau Labonta. Lo, what's good? Let's go. We got you. Whatever you need. Okay.
What an intro. That is hype. I need you guys with my morning coffee. That was so good.
We're going to start sending you uplifting voice notes.
Yes,
okay.
please.
But pre-game, we'll get you hyped and get you ready for games. Lo, this is first, let me just start with this, because this has been, I've been waiting to say this for about 2 years. We met.
Bro, you're both married. Don't do this. Don't go. I need this moment. Oh, God, what were you going to say? I'd be like, yo, Chris,
I just destroy my marriage. No. 2 years ago, about a little over 2 years ago, we met very briefly at the NWSL skills competition in San Diego.
Okay, I couldn't go, so I don't even know what's coming here.
So
okay.
I flew into San Diego and I missed the first third of the skills competition. I just got there, and it was at the training ground for the wave and stuff like that. So. Really cool experience. I'm bumping into a bunch of other people in media that I know. I see the players. Crystal Dunn is there dancing, and it's all I have a great time. And then after the skills competition is over, I step onto the field where the competition was being held, and I'm speaking to some players and stuff like that. And Lo is speaking, I think, to somebody else, and then walks up to me, and she's like, "Hey, Cooligans." And I'm like, and Lo, I just want to make it very clear. I do not think anybody knows who I am, what we do. It's always very flattering.
Important people, right? Every once in a while, we'll see a guy who sells bubble gum on the train go, "Yo, you guys the Cooligans?" And I'm saying, "These are my people." I get it. But when a player does it, we're like, "Oh my God, you know who we are?"
So I'm always very flattered, and I could not believe that you even knew that we existed or whatever. And then you said, "Oh, Cooligans," and then you said, "Oh, you're on CBS, right?" And then I was like, "Oh, this happens all the time."
I can't believe this happened.
She is confusing me possibly for you. That's the first thought. I'm like, but there's no way she. I mean, we look very, very different.
Your first thing is fix the contacts.
If you drop it, I will help you look for your contact lens, Lo. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I didn't do the thing of hey, I can't believe she's confused me for something. I didn't do that. But I did ask something that was I've never asked this to anybody. I didn't say, "Hey, do you know who I am?" Which is the arrogant thing. I said to Lo'Eau Labonta, I said, "Hey, Lo, who do you think I am? Who are you confusing me with? Because I don't work at CBS. Alexis does." And then in my mind, I'm like, does she think, she can't think I'm Alexis. Does she think I'm Aaron West? That's literally the thing that came.
Or Charlie, maybe?
Or Charlie. Imagine. So it led to I was joking around about it, but it was slightly awkward. I didn't know if you knew I was joking or whatever.
Oh, so you're trying to settle the score.
I just wanted to make it very clear. I do not think highly of myself, as you can tell from me being shocked that you even knew who I was. But that was just an awkward. That is not the first impression I wanted to give to Lo'Eau Labonta. So if I don't know if an apology is necessary. I'm just acknowledging that we're all good, and I hope it wasn't too weird.
Or you're gaining more weight than you thought you had since being a dad.
You haven't been in the sun enough, all that. No, I absolutely remember this moment because I again don't really know how the sports media world works. So I just assumed you guys were on CBS as well. I didn't know it was, just a podcast at the time, but I knew who you guys were. But I was just I remember going up to you and you were like, "I don't think you know who I am, who you think I am." And I was just like, "No, I know." But yes, I will always remember that moment because like you said, you guys are fun, you're comedians, and we need that in soccer. So I immediately knew you guys were. I've been following you for a while.
I guess, and that brings me to the question that I've been meaning to ask you for 2 years as well. No, I'm joking. Imagine we're airing all of our grievances here.
Her husband is called Red Card Roger. You know what?
Yeah. No, I've seen my guy's abs. I'm not even pretending. In fact, I think I'm in love with him. That body is insane. My question for you is, where does your personality come from? Because we talk to so many players. I think on the men's side, they tend to be a lot more serious, or at least like maybe too flat affect. They don't want to show too much emotion. We found much bigger personalities on the women's side of the sport, but you stand out so much. Obviously, the celebrations is the first thing that people will notice about you, but I feel like that's just one of the symptoms of your whole personality. You brighten up every room you're in. Have you always been like this?
Yeah, 1,000%. My therapist would probably say like childhood trauma, but
same girl, same. Shout out to all the therapists out here. Yo, nobody hugged us, bro.
Exactly. But no, I mean, a lot of people don't know like all the things I've been through in life, but I won't let that hold me down, hold me back. So life is too short, and you want to have a good time, you want to laugh, and that's always been me, and that's also why I think my career has been so long already, because I am enjoying it. I tell myself my body doesn't hurt and I'm gonna laugh. So, manifest that.
Smile through the pain.
I love it. I mean, when we're on stage and like maybe if we are doing a show and we're bombing, it's like, no, we're not bombing.
No.
This is a learning experience.
I'm like, that one guy's having a good time, so I got an audience of one right now.
You turn to the audience, you're like, you're the problem.
Yeah. Actually, one of my favorite comics who's passed away a while ago, but Mike DiStefano, he goes, you know what? If it's not working, he goes, you know what? I boo you. I did this set 3 other times tonight, and they all loved it. This is a you problem.
Bro, it's so funny you say that. I forget his name. I was seeing Dave Chappelle in Kansas City, but someone was opening for him. It was a comedian from New York, and nobody was laughing at his first like 5 lines, and he goes, well, they love me in New York, and then like walked off, and I was like, oh no.
Nice. That I like to hear.
I wonder who it was.
Maybe Mo. Mo's not from New York though. I'm trying to think of
who opens for Dave. Anyway, Lo, I think it was evident 2 years ago, and definitely now, we are huge fans of you. You are, like Alexis has mentioned, you are just an incredibly entertaining person and player. And the thing that was exciting was when you were a part of Off-Season FC. And what was it? Not reality show. What was it? Not reality series. Well, we had Midge and Taylor here, and she was upset that we were miss.
We kept calling it a reality show. She kept correcting
Midge being upset? No way.
Yeah.
Never.
Or correcting people.
But it was so fun to watch. And docu-series. There we go. It was fun to watch, and I think a lot of people left that series maybe being like, Lo'Eau Labonta is my favorite character, or I connected with her a lot. But really what stood out to me, and it pretty much went viral, was your conversations about your pay and being the 11th highest paid player on the team.
Ridiculous.
While being in the NWSL Best 11. And you were just like, yo, this is what it is. And I don't know if it's, you weren't looking necessarily for sympathy. You were acknowledging like, oh, well, Maria Sanchez getting paid quite well. The moments, especially you and Paige having this conversation of like, happy for them, but like, it wouldn't happen.
A little bittersweet. Yeah.
Without us kind of laying the groundwork and stuff like that. So that was a couple months ago, or maybe even a year ago when you filmed it. But how are we feeling about it now? Because now every time, I'll be honest, and I'm here to applaud you, but every single time I think of that moment, especially you having those conversations with Paige, and then I see like, some sponsored content on the Instagram. I'm like, let's go. Get Lo'Eau Labonta paid right now.
We on the up.
Exactly. And, speaking of my husband too, he retired last year. So we're a 1-income household. So mama was out there working. I was out there shooting. I was like, come on, we want a good dinner tonight. We're going to sushi. So I'll do like 2 photo shoots, No, but I think, these are always, I'm never going to shy away from a conversation, and especially my reality. I've never been on the national team. So immediately when that happens, your pay will usually go up. So I've just been out here, fighting for the average NWSL player. it is going up. There are improvements. And you brought up Maria Sanchez, like being the highest paid at one point. I'm going to applaud you. Like, get your bag. How do we get these other players' bags? How do I, get some money?
Just a little.
Working on that.
Yeah.
Working on that. But no, I'm so proud when this happens because as soon as Maria Sanchez got paid, you turn around, Mal Pugh got the next biggest, or Mal Swanson got the next biggest one, Trinity Rodman, So Smith. Like, it just raises the bar, and that's where you get the investment. So I'm so happy for that. But at the end of the day, like I tell my rookies, my first contract was $7,500, like $7,500 for the year. And people are like, how'd you live? And I said, oatmeal. Like, that's all I had. You got to struggle. So yeah, those are conversations people can't shy away from because you have to have them in order to make it better. We have this new CBA. We're still fighting. So we're getting there. I'm hoping in my lifetime, but if not, it's all right. For generations to come, we got you.
Have you thought about, because it feels like, especially in the women's game, there's a lot of pressure for those players that are in your position that are like really good, but maybe haven't gotten on the national team or haven't gotten that big contract. There's pressure to go play in other countries and in the offseason and almost really never rest your body and really just play through injuries and never let them fully heal. Have you felt that pressure? Especially with Europe seemingly calling in a lot of American players suddenly.
Yeah, and I love that other leagues are bidding, for our best players because that's going to raise the dollar amount here as well. So at that point, I'm like, go ahead, go there for a couple of years, get your bag, come back here because I do think our league is the best league in the world, competitive-wise, against all the teams. So I'm never against someone collecting some money. Somebody even just brought up to me, who's the Brazilian player that just left Orlando and went to, I think she went to play.
Right?
No, North Carolina.
No, she went to play in Saudi Arabia, I think is getting like millions.
I forgot her
probably.
name, but I know who you're talking about. I saw the story, yeah.
But there's stuff like that that's happening, and they were asking me too, and all these other players, and I'm like, yo, right now I'm trying to make this team the best I can. So I can't even go to Saudi Arabia right now. They don't got time for that right now.
I would love to see your goal celebrations at Al Ittihad. That
would be. Can you imagine? You would never see me more well behaved in my life.
A lot of handshaking is this.
Exactly.
They're gonna be like, "Hey, less twerking, Lo. Less, a little bit less."
Also, you don't have to salute us all every time you do. You're like, I don't know what's happening. You guys are all getting one. I just want to make it home.
It's we mentioned like celebrations, but that is a huge part of the Labonta brand, and
it is the sizzle that sells the steak.
Yeah, and I mean sometimes it's like to say we don't talk about the steak enough. Sometimes you are an incredibly effective and influential player for your team. I mean, I see the pinged passes or the perfect through balls you lay off.
Hey, you don't get the celly if you don't score, so it just goes to show how effective you are.
Exactly. So I mean, as a midfield, I guess it says a lot to. Maybe I'm not going to have the most opportunities to score, so I got to make it a bit of a show when I do get those opportunities. Are there any? I have the favorites. Obviously, the pulled hammy twerk.
Iconic.
There's always an iconic one. The being held up. I forgot.
Not break dancing.
Dirty dancing.
Dirty dancing.
Yeah, I mean those are classics. Are there any? I mean, those I would imagine are all pretty well received. Are there any celebrations that you've done that some people are like, "Hey, Lo, I don't know about that one. You went a little too far there."
I think other than the twerk one.
Okay.
I think at first, everybody was like, this is hype. And then I would get some other responses where it's like, Ronaldo would never. And I'm like, get out of here with comparing me to Ronaldo.
Ronaldo should never. Also.
Don't nobody want to see that, bro.
But I think the only other one that someone was kind of questionable on was my wedgie one.
Yeah, that was a classic.
But I was like, I could have got the sliders too. You could have got 2 cheeks for free.
I know, right? Bruh.
I was like, that was pretty decent. That was decent.
You don't even have to clear your search history after this one.
Have you ever been yellow carded for any celebration?
No, and it's funny. I got a lot of pushback when people started copying them in other leagues.
Right.
And then there was a football player in the NFL who did it, and he got fined like 30 grand or something like that. Like each twerk was 10 grand. And someone was like, Labonta wasn't fined. And I was like, whoa, stay in your lane. I don't get paid that much to be fined.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Get out of there.
I can't afford $10K per clap. Per cheek clap, bro. This is crazy.
I was like Will Smith. I was like, keep my out your mouth.
Yeah.
But that must be somewhat flattering that you do a celebration and all of a sudden all these people from other sports are not copying it.
Yeah, I mean, it was hype. Like, if that's my legacy, that's my legacy. I think the twerk alone probably is, but if all goal celebrations are, it just means that people are finding that I found joy in the game and they're also doing that. So that if that's my legacy, I'll take it.
I also love that you're pushing the boundaries. I think this happens to us all the time with jokes, you know, especially me trying to do jokes on Morning Footy. Sometimes it's like, hey, I don't think you can say that. And then after you say it, they're like, oh, okay, that was okay. Everyone's okay with it now. You know, like,
if you got like 7 retweets, you're good.
Yeah. Once they see engagement, you're good.
Yeah.
That's funny.
When you come up with some of these celebrations, not just that, just the way you interact with other players, you seem to be the one that kind of brings joy to the locker room, to the other players, you know, maybe lessen some of the stress that's generally involved. Is that part of your game? Are you use that sometimes to get in the head of the defender, you know, where like nothing bothers you, but then secretly you're trying to, you know what I mean, kind of get their brain off of the game a little bit?
Yes and no. I think it's funny because I can like sit here and banter with you guys all day. Whereas I go in the game, I don't really say much to the other team. Like if I hit like, you know, there's about to be a pressure pocket and I'll see a pass is about to be played, I'll be like, player. So like she knows I'm on her. But other than that, like I wish I knew how to get into people's heads, but they're like, "Ma'am, you're like 4 foot nothing. Like, go there.
We're just gonna move you over here."
Yeah, exactly.
But it didn't. You know, watching the either drills or training that you were doing in off season, I didn't get that sense at all. I'm like, yo, Lo'Eau talks. Jesus. Yeah. I don't know if it was just for the cameras or whatever. But there was a fair amount of at least banter or trying to get under people's skin to at least to show that competitive edge.
Yeah, practice I would say is different than the games because in practice I will constantly get on my teammates or the people I'm training with because it raises another level. It does make them better when you put that fire under them a little bit. But in the game, I don't want the other team to have any motivation. I don't want to be the one that is motivating them. Like, I want you to play your worst, and I'm going to applaud you after when we win.
Okay.
Hit them with the, wow, not your day today, huh? And then you walk away. Yeah, real light. I like that.
I wonder, like, when teams, when you score against them and then they see you do a wedgie celebration, are they not a little bit motivated after that? Or, like, does anybody say anything on the pitch?
No, I've never had someone celebrate in my face. I've had teams obviously score against us, do a celebration. I'm like, I would do the same thing. I love that. But nobody has been in my face just because I don't think my celebrations are ever targeted or directed at a team. You know, we're usually doing something with our teammates. It's about us, but I've never done anything. And now, like, as I'm saying this, I'm like, what could I do actually? Am I the villain this year?
Are we the baddies?
Oh my God. So, I mean, not to bring it down, because we got
to talk about last year.
We have to talk about last year. And obviously, you know, it was interesting for me watching, I mean, the Kansas City Current and the Orlando Pride throughout the season. That was like, you know, watching
two Titans,
the Liverpool Man City games every time. Like, these are the top two all the time, and we really want to see how they compete against each other. And obviously in the playoffs, it didn't go your guys' way. But then there's just the storyline is almost too difficult to not really at least discuss, right? I mean, the NWSL championship is being held at your team stadium.
The first ever, soccer specific stadium for women's soccer, and it would have been what a crowning moment it would have been.
Yes, and then I'm watching the NWSL championship and you're on the sideline doing coverage
Yeah.
for it. And I'm like,
Standing
Lo
on like
is-
4 apple
Lo
boxes.
is furious and she is forcing that smile right now. So what?
You saw the tears come down
Yeah.
my eyes, did you?
All your analysis is like, well, I wouldn't have done it that way.
But looking back on it, and then obviously we can also look forward to the next season. But I mean, how are you kind of dealing and coping with everything and how it all turned out?
In one word, tequila. In a longer description. No, I think when you look back at last year, I mean, you said it perfectly. These teams were both, Orlando and us, were both very effective the entire year. We actually had a preseason game against them too. So we knew from that second that Orlando was going to be great last year, like very good. And then going throughout, like, I think we were the 2 teams that were definitely consistent the whole year. And those, I think, are championship teams. So kudos to them. But I think it wasn't as bitter of an ending for us because of everything we had accomplished. I mean, we got the Golden Boot on our team. We had the MVP on our team. We set new records as a team, the most goal scorers ever on a team. So when you look back, we did really well. And a lot of people forget that we were a new team last year. We had all these new players. We had a completely new staff. So what we were able to accomplish in that year is beyond anything that anybody could ever dreamed of. So looking at that, we're like, oh, now we're kind of the same team this year. So we're definitely going to be dangerous because all we have to do is fix certain things. We've added more tools to our box. So I'm excited, and I have nothing but positive things to say looking back on last year going into this new season.
Yeah, I feel like you guys are coming into something which is rare in I think American soccer, men or women, is being able to keep a good team together. It's so difficult with the way the rules are structured to be able to keep a team together. And that's obviously you guys are doing that. And you're a big part of that. You know, as you get to these later stages of your career, obviously you're going to be playing for a long time as long as you stay healthy. I think you're great. But are you starting to think about what happens afterwards? Because, you know, Christian mentioned third Cooligan is quite possible.
Yeah.
I thought you were great on Morning Footy. Like, you've got media is just waiting for you. I could see a Lo'Eau Labonta YouTube channel. I'd watch it, you know? What are your plans? What are your hopes? Movies, action movies. What do you want to do?
I know when Christian brought up the Cooligans thing, I was like, is this an interview for me? Like, is it a job interview? No, I think what I love is obviously whenever it does come that I'm done playing to stick around the game. I think soccer has some of the best personalities in the sport. I want to grow soccer in America. So if that's broadcast, is that media? We'll see when we get to that point. And that's why I think I'm dabbling in it now, seeing what I like. I mean, I guess I'm an actress after the off season. I'll add that to my resume. But no, it is fun. I'm such a people person, so I would never just want to completely leave the sport. I would never want to be a coach. Have you seen those hours? Ugh, no, thank you. So yeah, we'll see. And like I said, keep me open keep a job slot open for me. I'll be around.
Okay,
Ooh,
perfect. All right.
the world know.
And it's interesting when we've never met your husband, obviously Roger Espinoza, but legendary Sporting Kansas City guy. Like, you know, when we started,
Wigan legend.
yeah, when we started the podcast, he was just like one of the, like, you know, there's a guys that get stuck in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of this sport,
Hard men.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard man.
Yeah. Feet concrete, you know.
So it's interesting because I don't think I've even seen many interviews with him or anything, and then it just seems like getting to know you.
Can I tell you what I picture the Labonta and Espinoza household is Roger sitting on the couch with his feet up and you bouncing around, hopping on him, hopping off, throwing pillows at the guy.
Oh my God.
It just seems like a really fun duo.
Yeah, how close did I hit?
Bro, I'm going to tell him this and he's going to bust up laughing. Like, it is completely true, you know, because he obviously was a player as well. So that's why I think we were very good, like knowing each other's schedules, temperaments, all that. But it is funny. I am a morning person. I'm a night person, but he is not a morning person at all. So like the sun comes up and I'm just like staring at him, waiting for him to wake up in bed.
Smiling.
As soon as he stirs, I'm like, all right, what are you doing? And he's like, Jesus Christ.
You need to meet my wife. She is like, I'm like, where are you getting this energy from? I haven't even pooped yet. This is crazy.
Oh my God,
So
it's
funny.
amazing.
We talk about reality shows. That's already one that could exist, I think.
Please, I need to see it.
I must say, you mentioned some of your teammates, and obviously in Temwa Chawinga, I do want to
Baller.
mention her as well.
God, literally goddess.
Yeah, having her on your team,
My MVP vote, by the way.
Yeah. Is it
Easily.
Sometimes there's players are brought to teams and there's a certain like, oh yeah, we know they're good and whatever, and we see what they do on the pitch. But I'm curious, as a teammate, because you sent her some just incredible passes. Is there a feeling of like, I just need to send the rock up there and she'll figure it out? What relief does she offer to you, to the team, in being able to do the things that she does?
There aren't many people that can do what Temwa can do. I mean, Banda is right there with her. Banda has a whole other set of skills too. But in terms of Temwa, it is crazy. The amount of line passes I've had, and we joke about it at practice too, like the keepers are punting a ball or someone will shank a shot and it will go to the other field. We will all be like, Temwa, because she's going to get there.
Yeah.
So no matter what, she will find a way to get to the ball. She's so hard to defend, but she's also like, I know people may go on interviews and say this, but like she is genuinely one of the best teammates ever. She is so humble. She'll work for you defensively. She's not upset when you don't give her a good pass because she's just like, it's all right. You try to find me. You'll get me another one. Like I asked for the club to sign her for 10 years. Apparently in the league, it's a 5-year max contract. So
what is
like,
it, Chelsea
down.
Football Club? No.
right.
All right. Low Bowley over here.
Yeah. I was trying to get the Asian cut too. I was like, come on.
Incredible. Yeah, no, it's obviously very evident watching on the pitch, but yeah, there's a a lot of people just ask her the questions directly, but I'm always curious like what teammates feel about playing with players that are just clearly exceptional.
Yeah, it's got to feel good to know there's a player on your team where you can't actually make a bad pass to. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yes, she'll get to anything. I think when we had the Summer Cup final against Gotham, I had played her like I was trying to slip her through, but the ball came off the ground, hit her in the quad. She touched it through and then finished. I was like, I'm getting an assist on a shitty pass. That's amazing.
Insane. What a luxury.
So funny. The one thing that I also loved in off season, and I mentioned this to Midge and Taylor when they were here, is that it showed a side of players disliking each other at times. And obviously, clearly, a lot of friendship and a lot of laughs and all this stuff.
The camaraderie is always talked about, but no one talks about the other side.
Yeah, but on the, when you guys were training, there was like, oh, she's upset or whatever. Like you clearly saw a different side. You are a player that shows the positivity of the game very, very well with the celebrations and just with the showmanship. But then there's a part of me as just a sports fan. We love the drama as well. We love that even, quote unquote negativity, that fiery competitiveness. Is that something that it exists in the game in NWSL, but we just don't, it's just not publicized? And if it is not publicized, why do you think that is? And should that change?
Absolutely should change. I think, if we're sitting here and just being like, oh, it's all flowers and rainbows, like it's the exact opposite of that. I think people come out here and grind and work so hard, tackle each other in training because they want to be on the field. They want to be playing that game at the end of the weekend. So off camera, it is so intense. I think when you get into the game, there's players, I'm trying to remember, it was like huge debacle a few years ago where there were like players talking trash on the field and then it went to like Twitter. I'm like, we need that in the game because that just shows like when they're not doing that for the drama. They're doing that because they care, they fight, they want to win. They're like, if I'm not winning on the field, I'm gonna win you I'm gonna beat you on Twitter. Like, you know, we need that stuff. That's what grows the game. The men's side has it. I think the women's side is the same thing. So finally putting, you know, focusing on that and seeing that is, I think, huge for the game.
Yeah. And I know you obviously you have stuff that you want to get to. So I want to make sure to give you the platform here. Like we talked a little bit in the beginning about how the game is growing so much. The game is, you know, it feels like it's catching up to where we all would have expected it to be a few years ago. Players are getting paid a lot. There's now specific stadiums for the women's game. All this is great. From the inside out, what do you think is the next thing that needs to be leveled up? Is there one thing that we in the media or just the fans don't get to see or maybe just aren't focusing on that you think needs to level up next, which will help make the game a little better?
Yeah, I mean, there's how much time you got, but if we're to focus on one, I think Merritt Mathias recently had come out and said this, that people in our league focus on players, not so much teams. So I think, you know, when you focus on, or when you talk about the men's side, you're like, Man City, you're not just talking about one player. So that would be for Orlando, Banda, or Marta. It's like you need to talk about Orlando as the team. Like I think the American League is growing so much that teams are starting to develop their own style of plays. So I just want Americans to know like the soccer education part, you know, not just when our league posts about like someone doing a bicycle kick, that's not actually a bicycle kick. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys are soccer fans, so you see these things. I'm like, how do we educate Americans that 7 scissors staying in the same spot is not actually good soccer?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it's the big play. It's you know.
Well, it's a highlight culture versus
or like. I know Alex Morgan, you know what I mean? Like it's like it's very
or like this team plays this way. Like you're talking about, like I know what to expect when a Nottingham Forest game comes on or when a Barcelona game comes on. It should be the same way. Like, all right, Washington Spirit gonna play this way, Casey's gonna play this way, Gotham gonna play this way. Yeah, that's kind of cool. You don't often think about that.
Sure. All right. Just to wrap up, we had a question from our Patreon, our supporters group. We call them Gully Squad.
Shouts to Gully Squad.
Laura McCoy in the Discord. Everybody, get on the Discord if you have not yet. Laura McCoy says, any new celebration dances planned for this year? And I know you don't have to. You're not going to reveal them, so we don't expect that. But I guess I'll rework the question and just maybe say, what inspires you to get the celebration and pick a certain celebration?
Yeah, there's usually no process at all. It's
not a committee or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just like 6 people on a couch as you're twerking. Like, is this too much? I'm thinking of bringing this one out.
Wedgie, you do the wedgie. And you're like, hey, is this
what are we doing here?
And they're like, hey, we work.
Right. No, I think the only one, honestly, I've ever really planned is that twerk one because I did not in the league score as much as I am scoring now in the last couple of years. So I would never have a goal celebration planned. And now I'm like, oh, I should probably have some in my back pocket. And I'm truly worried when there was one game this past season, I had 2 goals in one game. And I was like, oh no, what's my next? Like after I scored, I was like, what am I doing next? But I would say right now, the only process is me trying to get other teammates to think of what their goal celebration is. We have like Rocky Rodriguez we just signed. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Like, I'll start those conversations. Mine is probably going to be, you know, a last second thing. But yeah, I'm working on my teammates right now.
I like this. There's a throwing coach, right? There's a set piece coach, and now we've added the celly coach, bro.
The celly coach is gonna watch other teams start incorporating and hiring somebody specifically to do this.
The XC, the expected celebrations, is up on Kansas City.
Incredible. I had this. Another question, just out of curiosity, given that the Kansas City Current were formerly the Utah Royals and the Royals are back, you've had an interesting career, but this what's different What was the Lo'Eau Labonta at Utah like, and what's the Lo'Eau Labonta at KC like? What any big differences?
Well, I can go to the liquor store on Sunday now.
Right? Easier to get coffee.
Exactly. What's the difference? Well, I think I've kind of solidified who I am as a player. Whereas when I was at Utah, I had a lot of big stars around me. I had Press, O'Hara, so many players, and I kind of had to adjust my game for them. Whereas now what I bring to the table helps the overall team. It's not just one player that I'm helped, other than, like I said, Temwa Chawinga. That ball is going wherever she is, that ball is going there. But I am who I am as a player now, and the team kind of works around that. So I would say that's the main thing. But I'm just as loud, just as crazy. Not much has changed.
Love
Let's
it.
go.
All
right.
Lo'Eau Labonta or Lo'Eau Labonta.
Hey!
I wanted to make sure I got that in. I'm not gonna try your middle name. It's I know I might butcher it.
No, that was perfect.
But absolute honor to have you here, and I can speak for Alexis and the rest of the crew. You're welcome here any single time. Anything.
Open door policy.
I don't care if you want to promote some athleisure brand. You're welcome to do that here at any time.
You could pull up a container of powder you mix in your water, whatever.
Hey, get Lo'Eau Labonta creatine. But you're the absolute best, and we wish you the best this season. So yeah, just keep it up.
Watching.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you guys are amazing. Thank you.